Hello and welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. It is the first Monday of the month, which means that our friend Bill Humbert, author of RecruiterGuy's Guide to Finding a Job, is joining us here this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Yourself?
Good. I am doing just fantastic. It's always nice to see a friendly face at the beginning of the week.
I agree.
Well, thank you. Well, this morning we're going to be discussing about the fact that December just so happens to be the best time for corporate recruiting, which is totally contradictory, I think, to what most people have in mind during this time of year due to the holiday and other things that are budgetary things that they have to figure out. This doesn't seem like the obvious answer.
You're right. You know, Chelsea, a lot of times what happens is companies are thinking, well, we're at the end of our budget year, we don't have any more money to spend on recruiting, and they really aren't thinking that in this case, 23 days, they're going to be full-on recruiting again, and they may have positions they have to fill right away in January.
Right. Okay, so first up, how do you justify recruiting during this time to human resources and the hiring manager? Because they're the ones you got to convince that this is the way to go.
Well, think about it. The holy grail for recruiting is the passive candidate. Mm-hmm. Everybody's looking for the passive candidate. And they're the hardest to reach because they're really not interested in talking to anybody because they're not looking. Mm-hmm. Well, during the holiday season, what happens? We all become warm and fuzzy, very inclusive. The phone rings, we pick it up. Sometimes we don't even look on caller ID to see who it is.
A little bit nicer overall.
It's nicer,
yeah,
and you have a much better chance of catching that person.
And this is something I never considered you're definitely playing on, as we mentioned a little bit before we came on, is kind of the psychological impact, or how that really changes your frame of mind when it comes to dealing with people during the holidays.
That's correct.
Totally play on that. You can use that.
It's a sales, the recruiting's a sales process. And a lot of people don't even understand that. They kind of think of it as an HR process as opposed to a sales process.
Sure.
So it's important to understand the sales process and understand how to take advantage of it.
Okay, Bill. So what if someone, or rather if the company decides not to hire during December? They're like, no, we're not going to do it. What do you do?
Well, if I'm the hiring manager, I'm going to be networking like crazy. I'll be going out and reaching out to my network and try to identify the best qualified candidate. And then I'll interview them, get that part done, and then I'll present them to HR and say, this is a person that I would like to hire.
Okay.
HR may say, well, we don't have any budget to do anything right now, but at least they're queued up for the 1st of January.
Sure. That makes it a lot easier on both ends to have that ready to go. Okay. Well, in relation to that, so if you do finally find someone or a prospective candidate or someone that you do want to hire, are candidates even willing to make a decision like that during the holidays as you move into the new year? Because that could be a really eventful time on all levels of personal and professional life. Are they actually willing to make those types of decisions?
Absolutely. It's again, you're playing on the psychology. What happens when you find out somebody wants you?
You're excited.
You're excited.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they go home and they go, guess what? I got a phone call today. Somebody's trying to recruit me for blah, 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 whatever. And whether it's a company they want to go to initially or not, they're excited that somebody reached out to them. So playing on the psychology, again, understanding how people think. Then you get them into the conversations about the company and get them into the interviews and get them excited. They'll make a decision. Doesn't matter the month.
So when you were a contingent recruiter, what was the best month for you when it came to offers and accepting of those offers?
December was my best year recruiting, or best month recruiting every single year.
Wow.
Every single year. It was the best month. And it queued me up for January. Because I had people didn't want to start people at the end of the budget year. They started them at the first of the next budget.
Sure.
And that enabled me to have a great January.
A lot much smoother, I'm sure. Well, anything else to add this morning that we need to know about recruiting in December?
Well, probably the best is when you tell stories. I had a woman who was a CICS programmer and systems programmer. And she was a little hesitant about interviewing, and I said, I've got a great company. It's ComSat Labs, and it's in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and actually Germantown at the time. And so she decided that she would interview with them. The data center manager said, let's set up something for Christmas Eve morning. So she interviewed there Christmas Eve morning, and after the interview, everybody loved her and asked her to stay for a little impromptu potluck. She stayed for lunch. After lunch, the data center manager came to her and said, hey, can we just chat a little bit before you take off? And she said, sure. And she was just loving the group and everything. He extended her an offer.
Wow.
And she said, can I think about it for a couple of days? And she called me up Christmas Day evening and said, I've got a Christmas present for you. I'm accepting.
That's so great. What a nice story to kind of exemplify really the value in pursuing people in December. Because like the good feelings all around, you really got to, capitalize on that for sure.
That's right. So now is the time for companies to be out there aggressively interviewing so they can start off their Januaries really strong on hiring and get it while people are sleeping. Get it while your competition's asleep.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, where can we find your book, Recruiter Guy's Guide to Finding a Job?
It's on Kindle, and soon will be on Nook.
Very good. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to have you back.
It's great to be
until
back.
Next year, literally.
Until next year.
And get on that recruiting, guys, as Bill Humbert said. Thank you very much. Nice to see you here.
Great to see you.
We'll be right back after this commercial break, and when we do, we'll share with you some opening days. I got to get out there and ski a little bit more. I'm telling you.